Hello and welcome to the video overview of NEC's UNIVERGE Blue Connect desktop application. To begin, we are going to open our application by clicking on the icon that you can see here. If you put it in your tray, it will look like this icon down here. So you can click on either one to open it up. You'll enter in your email address and password, and once the application opens, it will look something like this. On the left-hand side of the screen, we've got different icons that are listed here. And if you hover over the icon, it will tell you what each of these does. So if you're an HCD agent, this is where you would log in to take your calls from the queue. We've got the messaging portion, any meetings, share files, call history, voicemail, and then calling, which is where you would go if you want to place an outbound call. At the bottom, we have hunt groups. If you don't have this, then you're not part of a hunt group. We don't need to worry about that. And then we have the settings section here at the bottom. To get started, we're going to look at our messaging. So I'm already on this page. You can see that I've got a group of people listed under my favorites, some different channels, and some recent messages that I have listed here in my message history. To get started, what we're going to do is we are going to create a new direct message. So I can do this a couple of different ways. I can either search for an individual by typing their name in the search box, and I can start a new message there. Or if I need a new message, I can click the plus sign and select new direct message, type in the person's name or email, and I can start a new message there. Now, when I have created the message, it's going to look something like this. And in order to send something to the individual, I will just type my message here and hit enter, or I can click this little send button. It'll turn blue. I'll click that and it will send it to my chat. I can also attach a file by either clicking on the attach button here, and it'll open up my window explorer and I can select a file to send, or I can drag and drop a file to my window here. Doesn't matter where. Once I drop it in, it's going to upload that file, and then I hit enter or click the send button here, which I'm not going to do because I already have a file that I've sent and it's located right here. This is what it'll look like after you send it, and it will allow you to either download that file by clicking the little download icon, or I can click the link here to download that file as well. I can also view this within my chat, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. We've also got the GIFs available. If you want to select something there, we've got emojis that you can select from, so you can go through any of those. If you need to call out a specific individual, if you're in a group chat, you can do that here. If it's a personal chat just between two individuals, you won't need to do that. So for instance, here with Leslie, I don't have that ability listed down here because it's just with an individual. And then if I need any more rich text editing, then I can add that in. Put that in here. I can make it bold, italicized, underlined. I can bullet. So you've got that capability listed there using your rich text editor. Now, one of the things that comes in very handy is the search function within a message. So if I know that I've talked to somebody about something before, but I can't quite remember the answer to the question that I had, I can search through my chat. I simply come up here and I click on the search icon. It brings up a search bar here at the top, and then I can search for a keyword. So I will type in the word hello, and then I'll hit enter. Notice here on the right, it tells me how many instances were listed. So I have 2 instances where hello was mentioned. And what it's going to do is it is going to start with the most recent. In order to get to the next one, all I have to do is hit this little caret icon, and it is going to move me up to the next instance. So depending on how many times a word was mentioned within a chat, you could have a few, it could go up to a couple hundred, depending on how many times it was mentioned. And I would just use these carets to move back and forth between those instances to find the specific question I might have had. That way I can get an answer without having to ask that same question again. To close your search function, you just simply click on the X and it will close it out. Now, we also have the ability to create a channel, which is what this demo channel is here. This allows us to have multiple individuals as a part of our chat. So, for instance, with this chat with Leslie, this is just between me and Leslie. Nobody else has the ability to join this chat because it's a private chat with Leslie. If I created a channel, then I can have multiple individuals. You can see here that I've got 5 members listed. That way, a group of people can chat together and everybody would see the chat, be able to respond, and be included. To create a channel, you will simply click on the plus sign here on the top left portion, select New Channel. You'll put in the channel name, you'll put in a description, and then you will type in the members that you want to be a part of the channel. You can add members at any time, or you can make it public, and then anybody has the ability to join that channel if they need to. Once you're done, you click Create Channel, and it will look something like this. At the top, you'll see pictures of some of the individuals. You can see here on the left that I have multiple channels. This one has 23 members associated with it. This one only has 4 individuals. So you can add as many or little people as you need. The channel is going to function very similar to a chat. You're going to have all the same options, but again, the additional option that you'll have is the ability to call a specific person out within your chat. So if I want to write a message to Jennifer so that she will see it, I can click on that and it's going to highlight her name that I'm asking her a specific question within the chat. Everything else down here should be the same as with an individual chat. Some of the other things that you can do within a chat or a channel is that you can mark it as unread. So if I click mark as unread, you'll notice over here that this is going to come up with a little notification. So I got my little notification here, but now at the top, I also have a notification here that something needs to be looked at. And when I come to my messaging screen, so let's say that, I'm at my voicemail section, I can see that I need to come here to check the messages for my chats, and then when I come to my demo channel, it will mark it as read. If I want to add an individual, I can simply click add, and I can type in an individual's name to add them to this channel. If I need to remove somebody, I can come here and I can remove them by clicking the little trash can icon in order to take them out of the channel. We've also got more listed here, so I can favorite or unfavorite. I can mute, which if you're doing any sort of presentations, you might want to mute. If I click mute, it's going to give this little speaker with a line through it, just letting you know that I've muted the channel. And then I come back and unmute it. If it has the orange star, it means it's favorited, and then you have your favorites list up here. So all of these individuals and channels are part of my favorite list so that they're easy to find. Otherwise, they go into the recents, which are a little harder to find those individuals or channels if they're listed down there. Another way to add members is to go to the members section. Same concept as if I clicked this add button here. They both essentially do the same thing. And then I also have the ability to view a file within my channel or within an individual chat. I can click on the files section, and any files that have been shared will show up here, and I can view that file within the application itself by clicking that link, and then I have some simple PDF, tools that I can use that will help me as I'm viewing this file. So I can move down different pages, I can search. You can click on this little thing here, it'll give you basically the menu for those items, and then you can use these if they're highlighted. I can make this large, and I have these options here to rotate, use a hand tool, and things like that. And then to get back, I just click the back button. If I want to pin an item, I can pin it. It'll put it at the top. That way, if you have any training materials or some, frequently asked questions that you want to list in there, you can pin that and have it easily accessible. Another option that we have is to send a SMS message or to create a new contact. So To create a new contact, I'll just click that. I'll put in the person's information, add phone numbers, email address, and then I click create. And then that way I have the ability to add them in as a new contact. Now, when you're creating contacts, you have the ability, let me just add a new phone number here. Let's say that this is their work number. This is their mobile number. I'll add one more and we'll say this is their extension. Now, since I have all of those added, I have the ability to select which of these is going to be the primary phone that rings when I call that person. So if I have their extension number, as the primary, anytime I go to make a call to somebody, it's going to call their extension number. If I have their work, so they have a direct dial number to them, and I set that, then it's going to call that direct dial number as opposed to actual extension. Or if they want me to call their mobile number, maybe it's a salesperson that's always out, I can have that listed instead, and it will call that individual's mobile phone instead. Once I'm done, I just click create and it will add that to your contact list. Now, one of the other things that I didn't mention within the individual chat is we have the ability to place a phone call to that person from the chat itself. So I don't necessarily have to go to the calling feature. I can just come here to the chat, place that call, and be able to call that individual. One of the other nice things within our chats here is the icons listed here show me what that person is doing. So for instance, Erin is on a phone call. I can see that because she's got that little red phone icon, and now it just turned green, so she's available. Melissa, on the other hand, hers is red, so she's busy. Carrie right here is yellow, meaning that he's away. So it gives you a good idea of what's going on with the different individuals in your organization or the people that you have listed as favorites. That way you can kind of get an idea of who's available, who's not, just at a glance. The other thing that I can do is I can click and drag this person and reorder my list as needed. So before we weren't able to do that. Now you can click and drag and you can set that up however you want, by department, alphabetically, whatever fits your needs. Last thing that we have here is our recent section. So these are people that I have interacted with, but I do not have them listed in my favorites. And I can only go so far. It only allows you to have so many recents listed. So anybody that I've interacted with recently, they will end up in this list. But if I want to interact with them on a regular basis or be able to see them on a regular basis, then the best thing to do is add them to our favorites list. And the way to do that is if you click on their individual chat information. So for instance, I'm on with Jim Cubby here. I just click the star and that will add him or remove him from my favorites. So if I click that, it takes him out of my favorites. You can see that he's no longer listed up here, but he's down here. If I click the star again to add him back in, he moves from my recents back up to my favorite list. Okay, so moving on from the chat section, we're going to go to call history. So I'll select the call history icon over here on the left. And within call history, we have the ability to view all calls, or we can view missed calls. So all calls, any outgoing calls that I've made, any calls that I've received and answered, or any calls that I've missed are all going to show up here. Missed calls are just going to be calls that I did not answer. Within both of these sections, we have the ability to do the same thing. So for instance, with Chelsea here, you can see that over off to the right, when I hover over this instance, I have the ability to send her a chat, or I can call her if I want to call her back. I can also see, since she's a part of my organization, that she is currently busy. If I hover over her icon, it pops up the information for me to be able to get in touch with her. You're going to have something similar for calls that come from outside of the company. So if I come down here, you can see that I can block the number, send a text message, or call that person back. It's not going to give me a lot of information for this specific individual, but I can still hover over and have those options listed there as well, or create a contact or add to an existing contact. The call history is categorized by the latest incoming call that you've received. Call history goes back quite a ways, so if you just scroll down, you can generally go back to find any missed calls within the past couple of months. The next thing we'll look at is voicemail. So if I click on the voicemail icon, this is going to bring up a list of my voicemails. When you receive a new voicemail, depending on if you have a desk phone or if you're using the desktop client, you will get a notification. The difference is if you have a desk phone, your desk phone light will turn on. Generally, each phone has a light to let you know that you've received a voicemail. But if you're using the application, you can come in here to check the voicemails even if it's on your desk phone. This is the way that I do it. So let's say that I have a voicemail. This is one that I left for myself. I'm going to mark it as unread. Now, the light on my phone just turned on, letting me know that I have a new voicemail because technically, even though this is from July 11th, this message is now considered new because I've marked it as unread. You can see here that I have a little icon letting me know that I have a new voicemail. When I come in and I click on this voicemail, or maybe if I switch to another one, that way I can click on it. I click on that voicemail, now it's marked as read. So the light turned off on my desk phone and I lost my notification here on my desktop application. You can see because of my license, I have the ability to have transcription for the voicemail. I can play the message by clicking the button here. I can send myself a text message or call that person back if I want to. Again, I can mark this message as unread if I need to remind myself to come back and listen to it. I can delete it by clicking the delete button here, or if this is somebody who keeps spamming me, then I can just simply click the block number here. The next thing we'll look at is how to make or receive a call. So if I click on this little calling icon, this takes me to my page where I can create a phone call. I'll switch to all. So this would be everybody that is listed within our company that I am able to call. I have my favorites list, which this favorites list is built off of the favorites that I have added here in my messaging or chat feature. So whoever I added as a favorite on this list over here shows up in my favorites over here under the calling section. If I want to place a call, it's very easy to do an internal call to somebody. I can simply just hover over their icon or information and click the little phone icon, and that will place a call to them. Same thing, again, if we are in a chat. Let's say, again, I'm on Leslie and I want to call Leslie. I'd simply click her call icon. If I hover over Leslie's information, I can simply click the call button here or the call button here. So there's a lot of ways to do an internal call to different individuals within the organization. If I need to place an outbound call, I can easily do that by using my dial pad over here on the right. I would simply type in the phone number that I want to call and then hit enter or hit my call button here. So let me just put in a number real quick. I'll answer that call, and now the dial pad is empty because I've already placed that call. I'm already on the phone call right now. And I have a few options here that I can use. So while I'm on a phone call with somebody, I can mute that call. I can place that call on hold. Let's say that I call a business and they have that greeting that answers press 1 for sales, press 2 for billing. This is where I would come to put in that information. I would click on this here and I can either click on the button for that or I can use my keyboard to type in that number. If I want to flip a call to a mobile device, so let's say I have the application on my mobile phone and I want to flip that call to my mobile phone, I can click flip and it is going to ring my other available devices and I can answer on that device. I can also park a call, which can be picked up at a desk phone or I can pick it up on my desktop client here. I can transfer a call. If I want to transfer, this is fairly simple to do. I have a couple different options. So I'll click that button to transfer a call, and then I can come over anybody's information here, and I can do a warm transfer, cold transfer, or send to voicemail. Again, you saw that if I hovered over this, I have the option here as well to select where I want to send that call. If I need to cancel the transfer for any reason, I can click cancel, or I click the transfer or cancel transfer icon here, and that will just bring me back to the caller and cancel that call. If I need to add somebody else and create a conference call, I can click that add call. You'll notice now that if I hover over, the only option I have is to place a phone call. Same thing if I hover over that person's information, I can place a phone call with them. That's how I would create a three-party conference call. When I do that, my icon up here, after I've called that other individual, will change, and if I hover over it, it's going to say merge. And that allows me to merge those calls together so we have a three-party conference call. If I need to cancel, again, I can click this button or click this button to cancel that option. I'm going to go ahead and hang up with this call here. Now, if somebody calls you, there will be a couple of different ways to answer. The first is on the bottom right, you'll get a pop-up, and it's going to allow you to either answer by clicking the green button, hang up by clicking the red button, or send to voicemail. So I'm going to do a quick call here. It is going to show up for me up here in the top because of the screen that I'm using, but you'll have the same icons presented to you in the bottom right of your main screen whenever you receive a call. So let me go ahead and put in this information. I'll dial. And now you can see I can answer, send a voicemail, or hang up. So I'm going to go ahead and answer. And you can see I have all those same options available to me, even though I called in this time instead of dialing out. Let me go ahead and hang up on this call. And there are a few other things within the contact section or their calling section that we want to look at. So if I want to create a new contact, I simply click create new contact. This is going to be the same thing that we looked at when we were in the messaging section. I just enter in the person's information, I can add phone numbers, and again, I have the ability to mark any of these numbers as the primary number to call whenever I dial that person or that individual. Once I'm done, I just click create, and that person will be added to my contacts list. Now, when I do that, it's going to show up in my personal contacts list, not the company contacts. So the company contacts is created by the administrator on the back end. Personal contacts are going to be anybody that I add through this create contact button, and they will show up here just like this. If I want to create a new group, I can click this plus sign. I can put in a group name and I can add members, and I click the create group button. What this does is this allows me, as I've got this tech group created here, to create a group where I can add individuals to easily call them. So if I have a sales group, a technical group, support group, a billing group, it could be anything, you can create those groups, add the individuals that you want, and then when you come here to your calling section, you can just go to that group and easily find the individuals that you need to reach out to. Again, because we show the icon of what that person is doing, we can see that Erin right now is on a phone call, so I know that she's not available. If I had multiple people listed within this group though, I could find the person who's listed as green and be able to call that individual instead if, for instance, Erin isn't available for me to call her. So it's kind of nice to be able to have that visibility, be able to utilize that on a regular basis. If I click on the settings section, it's going to bring up my profile information. So I can see my extension number, my direct dial number, my manager, all that information listed there. I have the ability to change my status. So if I need to set my status to something else, I can set it here. If I need to close out of the application altogether, if I click the X here, it closes my window, but the application is still running in the background. So if I truly want to close out of the application, I need to click the log out button. And by clicking the log out button, it will close down my application. So even if somebody calls, it's not going to pop up and ring my desktop anymore. If I go to my call settings section, I can decide which device I want to receive my calls on. So I can receive them on the computer or I can receive them on my desktop. Once I click that, I will save the changes listed there, but I'm going to leave it on my computer for now. When you do it or select your computer, it's going to ask you to put in the address where you are currently located. So if you're at work, you'll put your work address. If you happen to be working from home, you would put your home address, and that is for 911 purposes. That way, if you end up dialing 911 out of your application, they know which address to go to. We also have the caller ID information listed here. So depending on your organization, you may have multiple numbers that you can select from to show on outbound calls when you call an individual. So anytime that I call somebody from my application here, it shows up with the NEC Corporation of America phone number. I can also block numbers if I want, or I can set up call forwarding profiles, which is pretty cool. I won't go into this very much, but this allows me to set up profiles. Let's say that I have a meeting at a regular time every single week. I could set up a profile that would tell all my phone calls, whenever you come in at the specific time, send calls to voicemail, or send calls to an individual, or send calls to a different group, whatever the case may be. So I can set these up and I can toggle them on or off as needed. If you're planning on going on vacation, you could set up a vacation profile. Under application settings, you can come here and click on any of these available icons. Basically, if I click on this, enable audio incoming voicemail notifications, this is just going to play a sound when I receive a new voicemail. If I don't want to receive that, I uncheck the box and save the changes. If I do want to receive it, I check the box, save the changes. Under voicemail settings, this is where we can update our voicemail information. So if I want to change my password, I can easily come in here, change my password. If I want to listen to my greeting, I can click play, listen to the greeting. I can restore the default greeting, or I can record a custom greeting. If I'm recording a custom greeting, you want to make sure that you have a decent microphone that you're using, either a headset or some sort of external USB microphone, for instance. Otherwise, if you try to use the native microphone on the PC or laptop, it's going to sound not as good. If you have the ability for voicemail transcription, depending on your license level, you can select that here, and then you can also select email notifications here if you want to receive notifications, and then if you want an attachment of that notification, you can click there, and when you're done, you just click Save Changes. Under audio settings, this is where I select what I want to use to answer or place calls on. So right now I have a headset listed here, but you can see there are several different options. Some of these, these two are for my monitors, which I don't want to use because I don't want to use my PC monitors to try to place or receive calls on, because it just won't sound very good. Once you select, you just click Save Changes. The About section has just some legal information, and then if you need to send us any feedback, you can click the Send Feedback here. The last thing that we have is the Agents icon. So if I click on Agents here at the top, this will take us to the section where I can log in to take calls from a queue. I simply click the Join as Agent button, and it's going to put me in the queue. I'm going to mark myself as Accept Internal Calls because I don't want to receive calls in the queue at this moment. But this allows me to see how many queues I'm a part of, exceeded wait time, shows me the queue information down here, how many agents are logged in and how many are available to receive calls. It also gives me the ability to view my stats. Since I just logged in, everything is listed as 0. If I want to dial out to somebody, I click the dial out button here and I type in the phone number. So let me go ahead and type this number in again. I'll click on the number. The way that this works is a little bit different. When I click this number to call, it's actually going to call me here on my client first. And what I'll need to do is I will need to answer the call here, and then it will dial out to the number that I'm trying to get a hold of. So I'll click this and I will click Make Call. You'll see that it's asking me to answer. I'll answer that call. And now what it's going to do is it's going to dial out to a number. I have those same options listed here that I'm able to use. So if I need to mute, place a call on hold, need to get the keypad, transfer the call, or merge the call for a conference call, I can easily do that there. I'll go ahead and hang up on this one. Once you're finished with a call, you can close interactions and go available, or you can select from these different options here. Now, if you're an agent and you need to select a different option, you can select any of these to make yourself available, unavailable, and the reasons why. Once you're finished, you can just click Sign Out and Leave Contact Center, and it will sign you out of the contact center. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was beneficial to you, and I hope you have a great day.
Orchestrating a brighter world, NEC.